Now, you've transformed Balmain, it's so prominent. You were just 25 when you took over. It was incredibly young and a lot was made of that. Did you feel ever out of your depth? Have you ever felt out of your depth?
No, never. Like, weirdly, I have a big confidence, like, and it's not pretension. I mean, I really worked a lot, you know.
Yeah.
I'm a person that left my family when I was 18, and I used to go to Italy and work for 6 years for Cavalli. I mean, I worked so much, like I didn't have weekends, I was not partying like maybe a young guy would do. I also put aside my private life, you know, so I think, I think I deserved what I did and what I have today. Like, I really worked hard, and I still do.
Is that ever intimidating though, when you pour yourself as a person and your personality into the brand so much? Because, you know, it means you're putting yourself kind of very much out there. Is that
yeah, but I think it's important today because, you know, I think, you know, it's over, like designers that actually are in, you know, like a tower and we don't see them, you know, like I think now people want to have more emotions, you know, they want to see clothes, but they want to also get into a universe, you know, there's something more real about everything. And it's not only fashion, it's also music. It's also TV, you know, like why it's so important to the real TV, like all like albums, singers, like they speak about their life also, you know. So I feel like to also sell to people a dream and a story, you need also to be true and to show who you are. And that's what I'm doing with Baumann, you know. I'm showing that I'm this kind of guy that actually grew up pretty fast and showing my selfies, my whatever, like my hangovers, but also my collection, a $25,000 dress, also me working on a tailored jacket. You know, like I'm just showing, you know, my life. I can be with my friends that may be famous in LA. I can be with my grandma for Christmas. I think it's also really interesting for people to see that fashion is also more accessible, you know. There is something that is less elitist. And I kind of like that, you know, because I like the pop effect, you know, I love the population, the popular thing. So that's why I think it's important for me to give more to people, you know. It's a piece of a dream that you actually want to give to the world. With Instagram, you know, I get a lot of followers and people get into my universe, and that's something that I like, because now you like Baumann and you like also me, you know. And if you hate some choices that I can do, you also hate the choices for the house. But you know, it's something that it's really personal, and at the same time I think you need the truth, you need sincerity, you know, and that's what I do. Like I put a lot of emotion in my brand.
Yeah, you've said before in interviews that, you know, the question that you'd been asked in this case, you were talking about casting and the diversity in casting, but you said something that really struck with me. You said that fashion people talk to themselves too much.
Yeah.
Tell me more about that.
I think, and I get so many haters when I saw that, when I say that. Yes, I feel like, it's what I told you, 4 years ago, I was really working for my front row. You realize that fashion is not only that. Fashion is not the people that is only in your room. Fashion is so much more than that. And that's why I really love the comments on my Instagram. You know, it can be haters, it can be lovers, it can be buyers, it can be people from magazine, it can be young kids that want to do fashion, it can be black guys that are super happy to see me as a designer and say, okay, you are an inspiration for us, or like, you know, like young girls loving my friend and say, oh, I love that you go out with this girl. Or I mean, I just like that. I just like to feel like fashion is more pop. Yes.
Do you think that that's quite a new view of luxury? Because I think for a long time people thought that luxury was about exclusivity and about, you know, not being able, only a select few people would come to know the creative director of a house, you know, that it was very closed off. And you know, you've really thrown that out. You've proved that you can be very out there as a person.
What was luxury in the 70s, what was luxury in the 20s, what was luxury in the 18th century, it can't be the same in 2015. And I really believe that also because I'm doing a lot of couture, my work is a lot of craftsmanship. I feel like it's already unique, my work. And I think what is modern in that is also like putting that on a digital and actually sharing that. I love what's happening to fashion industry now, because it's just so funny how people can be like so rude and mean like 4 years ago and change their mind 4 years after. I love what's happening now. I just think it's just like a revolution. It's not only an evolution. I really feel like there is revolution in the fashion world. And I mean, everybody's on Instagram, but like 5 years ago they were like, oh, you can't put luxury on internet. You can't sell luxury on internet, you know. And now, I mean, like all the houses are on Instagram and hoping to actually get followers.
Do you think you've spearheaded that in some way?
I always ask myself what I'm going to leave to the story, you know, what's going to happen, you know, like I think it's really deep question because my dream is actually that people will remember me. Like but not for pretension, you know. It's just because I love the fact that people like me. I mean, I have to say, like I look for it. I love the fact that I feel loved. Like I'm a human person, and I would love that maybe in some. I mean, when I'm gonna die, like people remember me like for someone that pushed some boundaries. And I think more than the digital, like, you know, I come from an orphanage, you know, I was like 1 year old when my parents adopted me. And I think it's a strong also message to show that, you know, I'm a black boy in a white family. I've been adopted, I was in an orphanage, and getting all what I get today, I can show to people actually, you know, dream come true, just work for it. You don't care about your start, make sure that the future is going to be better, you know, just make sure that you're going to be stronger.
You mentioned your upbringing there, and we've talked quite a lot about the present, but I want to go back and ask about the past. And tell me about what you were like as a boy.
I think, you know, my life was like my Instagram today, trying to have a lot of likes. I mean, obviously, like, you don't get followers when you are like 4 or 5 years old, but when you have the best, you know, the best results at the school, you're just happy because everybody's like, oh, you're a good student. I was trying to satisfy everybody that was around me. I was also, I had a lot of doubts. I was really scared, like when I was a kid, you know, like I remember that I was always bringing my pajama everywhere because I was scared that my parents abandoned me again, you know, like that's so, I mean, it's kind of really strong thing. So I wanted always to please people, to actually make sure that I'm gonna keep them around me. And I think that's also like a result of my life, Instagram, because why people is following me now, why I get so many likes and everything, because I'm in a way like I'm still looking for it, you know, it's something that you always keep in you and it's not gonna disappear like that.
What were you dreaming of? What were your ambitions?
I wanted to be president of the world. My parents explained me that's not happening. I was like, why is not happening? I want to change the world.
And tell me, what were your influences as a boy? Because do you remember your first fashion show, or do you remember, did you care about clothes? Did you look at what your mother was wearing? I
remember that for me, fashion always been really important in my culture, also because I'm French, you know, and I think for French people, fashion has always been part of the culture, like it's like food, you know, it's like this kind of thing that, and fashion was really pop before because everybody knew who was Chanel, Yves Saint Laurent, Dior, you know, it's Balmain. There's this thing about like really feeling it's part of the patrimoine, you know, like it's like Versailles, you know, there's this thing that you know, it's a history.
Let's talk about you as a designer, because as you say, that's what you were first and foremost before you became a creative director. And tell me, did you want to study fashion sort of when you were young? Because there was this point where you wanted to become a lawyer, but was the interest in fashion was there before that, though, wasn't it? Yeah, tell me a bit about those
I think,
ambitions.
you know, fashion has always been in my mind. I mean, I always loved the fact to look for identity. I think the fact that I come from what I told you before, I always loved the clothes to actually make you feel you have an identity. It was something really personal. So for me, I was creating my own story with my clothes, you know, I was dreaming and I was like thinking who I am, you know, and I remember like when I was a kid, I was dressing like a prince and saying like, okay, I come from this country because I don't know where I come from. So I mean, for me, clothes were really, really important to actually identify myself. I follow my instinct, and I stopped the school, like a law school, and I also stopped my fashion school, and I wanted to work.
With your parents, when you dropped out of law school, you've said in interviews before that they cut you off at that point. They said they didn't want to give you any more money. Yeah. Were they supportive still, or?
No, I mean, I think it's a way also to support me, to actually say to your kid, like, you know, now you're just gonna walk with your legs, you know, and I think it was smart from them. So when I see my interns now, and I can see them like, you know, like having another work after Baumann because they need to pay their rent, you know, and I remember who I was, you know, it reminded me completely the kid that I was, and I think I understand also them a lot because I used to actually dance in a club to actually pay my rent, you know, so I know exactly what you feel.
This is a difficult question for you to answer. Anytime I talk to anyone about you, they say you're so nice. It's like the big thing that everyone says, journalists, people you've worked with. But you've done so well so quickly, and how do you combine ambition with being really, really nice? Can you be not nice?
You know, I think it's funny because since the beginning of the interview, it is like ambition and being nice, famous, but at the same time, good designer. I feel like, you know, those two words, like French and international, those kind of things can all connect together. There is no problem, and really, like you can put them in the same sentence. There is, don't judge me just because like I have more followers, so I'm not a good designer. We can't do both, like it's not possible. I just think. It's when someone says, if you're pretty, you're dumb. Like, can't you have both? So it's the same story with designer. You can be famous in a way and still being a good designer. And I feel sometimes people forget my work, like literally. I think what will keep my ambition grow is because I'm nice and I'm not losing myself. Because it's really, really interesting what you say. I mean, it's really hard sometimes to actually look at me in the mirror and think, oh my God, you achieved so much already before your 30s. And but everything happened because I worked a lot. But always be nice to people. It's karma, and karma can slap in your face when you have a bad karma.
Tell me about coming to Balmain. What attracted you to working at Balmain? Because you worked under Christophe Decanem for a while.
I think Balmain had all the component that I love because it's old French house, it's luxury, it's craftsmanship, it's embroidery, it's couture. At the same time, it's a lot of tailoring. I love the Jolie Madame silhouette that Pierre Baumann created because in a way it was really like this structure silhouette for a woman and belts and making sure that it's really sharp. So it was really me. I obviously love the sexiness that Christophe brought. I love Oscar de la Renta, also the couture and this romanticism that Baumann had. I love the Baumann story, like I love the Pierre Baumann story. He was into like the jet set and the princesses of Thailandia, and it was just like this kind of really crazy 70s universe, and I loved it. I think so. I wanted to go there. What's amazing with the Baumann world is that people can think, okay, you dressed 3 girls, but I mean, we dress so much more.
Yeah.
But people maybe sometimes they just want, when you want to be blind, you want to be blind, literally. Me, I'm really proud of dressing people that are famous. I have no problem with that. And honestly, like I'm happy also because if they are famous, it's because they know how to communicate. And if they know how to communicate, it means that it's a talent, I think, the communication today. So yes, I'm happy that they love my clothes and they actually communicate with my clothes.
You're one of the only visible black designers working in fashion, and you must get a lot of young people who find that incredibly inspiring, but it also must be strange in a way to work in an industry that is not diverse at all.
I think it's changing. Now we are 2. There's Kanye West and there's me. So we are 2 designers. We are 2 designers black, and I hope there is way more.
Yeah.
For me, really interesting also is that it's a really old French house. That's I think it's the most significant for me because being a black guy that is under 30 in one of the most luxury French house, with my casting, with my girls, like with my campaigns, I'm really, really trying to show the new world because I feel like sometimes fashion is sleeping and not really realizing that we are in 2015. The rules that you use in 92, it doesn't work anymore. The world changed. Just start to open your eyes.
Yeah, it must be incredibly frustrating because many would call fashion a racist industry. You see that if you just look at how many...
Of course, I think it is.
Yeah.
I think it is because in a way, like, sometimes when you heard like some fashion show, they don't want to take more than 3 or 4 black girls.
Yeah.
I mean, how the fuck you can have this kind of thought? I mean, honestly. Like me, honestly, I'm really, really like not even thinking how many I have to put in my show. Like it's not even happening to me. I don't even see that she's black or white. That's the reality. I just see she's beautiful. Like how the fuck you can think, okay, we took the one from the new face from this agency. We're gonna take the old face because she's more commercial, and it's okay. We have to. Like really, 2015. I mean, how the fuck you can think like that? Like I really, really don't get it. Like this is something that.
Why don't people call the industry out on it more though? Because I find it really frustrating. I find it strange as a writer. People will go to a show and it will be all white casting and they won't say anything. It's almost like it's become the norm and people, I think it's so great that you speak out about it, but why don't more people?
Because a lot of people are old. I think for them, it's, they grow up like that.
Yeah, that's
I think it's this kind of people that when maybe they were in school, they didn't have like, they maybe have one black guy in their class,
Yeah.
So I mean, the reality of a lot of people is that they didn't grow up with like the generation that we are today.
Tell me a little bit. I'm interested in this idea. It kind of goes back to Instagram again. Sorry, I keep bringing that up. But
I love my Instagram. I love speaking about Instagram. Just if we need to make sure that we take it seriously.
Yeah, well, that's what's interesting, because it seems that you do take it very seriously. And has it made you care less about criticism?
Of course, yes. Yeah. I was reading. I was seeing an interview in Paris. I think it was 2 days ago, and Katie Horin was speaking about how the world is changing with, you know, Instagram, and she's like, now people is not about critique, it's more about likes.
Yeah.
And I like, yes, completely. Why people is more into digital, Instagram, and less into criticism, because I feel like they want truth, they want reality. Like, I'm so, for example, happy with the success of my friend Kim, because she's like 10 seasons on a row with her real TV, and when people say, oh, she has no talent, I'm like, she has more talent than everybody. Like, she's a businesswoman, she has like a real TV that actually keep going on and on and on. And why? Because people want truth, they want realness, you know, reality. And I think it's also that in fashion that happen now. People want to have real thing face to them, like just they want to believe in something that is real and just not having lie.
A lot of the people who criticize, they're nervous. You talk a lot about, you know, your generation.
They're really, really scared. I think that's why it goes so, I mean, I think they're more, I mean, I can see from my show, like, when Kim arrives to my show, is like, it's huge impact. Like, people are like crazy fans, and also Rihanna, like, you can feel the power that those girls and women have on the people. And I think there's a lot of jealousy, because maybe, like, you know, 10 years ago you were like, oh my God, this writer is coming to the show. Now, I mean, I don't even know if she came or not. I don't care about whatever writer. Like, some I care, but you know, like, I feel they kind of like, some are kind of frustrated and repressed, I think, because in a way, like, they don't have any more their scene, you know. So
I guess, like, this idea of the Baumann army, which people talk about a lot.
Yeah.
And why do you think they use the word army?
And I felt like my life is becoming a battle, because I was literally trying to please so much, you know, the press and at a point I was like, I don't want to please anyone except myself. And from this moment, when I start to choose different music for my show, when I start to actually put more pop culture, when I start to do also different castings, like, really, I realized that actually sometimes fashion is like a fight, a battle.
Yeah.
And so to fight against it, just be part of my army. And I start to create the Baumann army. That's it. And it's a fabulous army. It's a glamour army. There is no violence, obviously. It's just an army of vision, you know, and of strong people in it. But it's because I really became someone that pleased myself, trying to please myself. I believed in army. I think we built this army because I really understood that the day that I'm start to please myself and believe in what I want really, I will have to actually go against a lot of things.
So you don't think you're doing that yet? Are you not totally being yourself? You're not totally doing exactly what you want?
I think I'm on the right track. I think there is way more to push as boundaries today. But I think it's changing. I mean, I think I'm trying with my little power, I'm trying to actually change a bit the world in my way.